Nothing ruins a day of riding more than falling down from a minor tip-over than a broken clutch or brake lever. These days you can spend about $50 and get a fold-away style lever and almost eliminate broken levers entirely. But what if I told you this is not a new idea? What if I told you that one small company tried to prevent broken levers all the way back in 1971? The explosion of motorcycling in the U.S. in the late 60s and early 70s seemed to breed numerous aftermarket startup companies aimed at making improved or upgraded parts for various types of motorcycles. Some of these companies are still around today. 1971, Malcolm Smith Racing, better known today as MSR. 1973, the Flying Machine Factory, or better known today as FMF. Before ASV, Sunline, and ARC fold-away levers came on the scene in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a small startup company in Houston, Texas that set out to prevent DNFs from broken control levers way back in the early 70s. The company was Interstate Sports Incorporated, but better known as Impact Industries, founded by Virgil P. Tripp, a small injection molding company that in my research only made a few products that we'll look at here. The company was founded in March of 1971, according to the Texas Secretary of State. Later, a patent was filed on November 1971 for 3 different types of motorcycle control levers: a handbrake, a hand clutch, a gear change lever, and a foot brake. All are cited on the patent sheet. Impact, doing business as Interstate Sports Incorporated, would begin producing their levers sometime in late 1971, as evidenced by early year levers being molded with patent pending on the perch and lever itself. Later versions of the levers would have the actual patent date and number of 373392 molded in, denoting that these levers were made after the patent was granted. The patent was granted on May 5th of 1973 by the U.S. Patent Office. Impact could now market and sell their products without fear of copycats in the marketplace. The brake and clutch lever featured a typical style of lever for the time: a long, slender body with a ball end. The lever and perch were made out of a pliable nylon resin formed into the typical shape, with one notable difference. The backside of the lever featured a flange or spine that tapered towards the ball end of the lever. This design feature is what allowed the lever to have the rigidity needed near the pivot point, with a metal sleeve where the bolt pivots on, and be flexible out towards the end where most impacts with objects will occur. From the patent documents, it seems a lot of testing and refining went into a good balance of flexibility and rigidity to make what they deemed a satisfactory feel and control under normal use. The gear change lever would have its patent issued in 1977. That said, this product was probably on the market sooner, as the patent was filed in 1974. Seeing how the brake and clutch lever essentially followed the same timeline and demonstrated the same overall goal, as seen from these patent drawings, the gear shift lever features an internal hexagonal insert with splines and a stub of a lever attached to the splined insert. Then a pliable nylon resin-type plastic is formed over the metal assembly to create the impact-resistant gear shift lever. It would seem that this was the way to improve the lever's feel while still achieving the goal of a lever that can be bent and folded if it came in contact with a rock or the ground in a tip-over. Quite a unique idea for the time. Impact's products were available for purchase directly from the company, as evidenced by this factory packaging. Alternatively, Impact's levers were also available through other motorcycle parts and accessory distributors, as seen in this Beck and Arnley packaging. Beck and Arnley was a global sourcing distributor of motorcycle and automotive products at the time. It's also possible that these would have been available at the retail level in local motorcycle shops. As history would have it, Beck and Arnley would exit the motorcycle market entirely in 1979 to focus on their automotive products. Impact Industries, doing business as Interstate Sports Incorporated, would dissolve in 1978, according to Texas Secretary of State filings. Both of these events are probably why these products would vanish from the market before the end of the decade. The saying goes, everything old is new again. It just takes time. In the modern day, it's interesting that the Arc Lever Company, the leading manufacturer of folding-style levers, developed a composite lever in the mid-2010s to be used in conjunction with their foldable lever design. Was Bob Barnett influenced by this previous attempt at a composite unbreakable lever? I couldn't find a link between the patents, so it may be just a coincidence, as Bob would have been pretty young at the time. We may never know. One thing is for sure, the Arc composite lever is a spiritual successor and evolution of the Impact lever's original goal. Now that we know the history, what are these levers like to use in the real world? As it would be, I am fortunate to have a few of their products installed on a couple of my vintage bikes. I can attest to their durability and quality of molding. They have very good fit and finish of a mass-produced part. The splines on the gear shift lever are very accurately molded and machined in that they don't slip when tightened properly. The construction of the nylon resin is very pliable, and even after 50-plus years, it has not gotten brittle, and it doesn't show any signs of degradation. As mentioned in the instructions, it would seem the part is made of a mixture of various plastics. It states that only the front 4 inches of the shift lever can be bent or molded by dipping it into boiling water to create the needed frame clearance when installed on some bikes. This suggests to me that the composition of the plastic or resin used has specific properties to allow some reforming and thus impact resistance, which is a feature of the products. They bend but don't break and then return to their original shape. And herein lies the possible reason why this product probably didn't catch on. On paper, a lever that can bend, twist, and move in a crash or when hitting an object like a rock without breaking would be a godsend at the time, when factory alloy levers were very brittle and were a source of leaving you stranded on the trail sometimes, even from a minor tip-over. In practice, however, the Impact levers do not have enough rigidity to give very good feedback to the thing they are connected to. Here is my anecdotal review. Using Impact levers make front brake modulation feel vague. While the lever is stiff enough that it does the job, there's definitely a feel of flexing or springiness when trying to finesse the front brake. Much of the feel is lost before lockup. Remember, this is on bikes with drum brakes. Hydraulic disc brakes would be a while before they were common on dirt and enduro bikes of the time. The clutch lever. Very much the same as with the brake lever. However, since the clutch is usually an on or off affair, it is much less noticeable. However, bikes with overly stiff clutch springs or poor clutch actuator designs, some flex will occur. The gear change lever. While it was a great idea and probably kept a lot of shift shafts and transmissions from damage, the same rule applies here. With the thick-soled motocross boots, the lever is almost invisible, as in you almost can't feel it. There's a sponginess to its use, and it's hard to feel if the gears are actually changing. Depending on the bike, neutral can be almost impossible to find, as the flexible nylon plastic dampens the positive detents typically felt while using a traditional steel or aluminum lever at the time. Overall, the product does or did what it claims, however at the cost of loss of feel in the controls. As time marched on, various foldable levers were developed for the brake and clutch. Gear chain levers with foldable tips would begin to come standard on dirt bikes, all but eliminating the problem of a broken or bent shifter shaft. Impact did, however, offer a lifetime guarantee. If you ever broke one of their products, they would replace it for free, as long as you provided them the $1.50 postage to send it back. Well, I hope you liked this little history lesson on impact levers, the original unbreakable lever. If you liked a video like this, hit subscribe. Like this video, it helps the algorithm. Give me a thanks. It helps support the channel. You can donate as little as $1, and it helps make more videos like this. I thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.